Your answer. I mean, starting with the industry itself, what you said is quite interesting that we are kind of in the middle of this transition now. In the next 5, 10 years, is going to transform the way we do things and the way business operates and how much we have to serve the market with. I would say the data center industry in Europe probably really started booming in the early 2010s. So I guess we are halfway the journey now. So the consolidation, and now we're going into the expansion phase. But focusing on Ireland, I mean, Ireland is one of the most active markets in Europe, if not, well, probably top 3 most active at the moment, which makes it one of the most active in the world.
Yeah.
How do you describe the current market in Ireland, especially around Dublin, but even just beyond Dublin as well? Because this is the second topic that everyone is talking about. It's Ireland is not just Dublin anymore. There's Galway, there's all the other places. Tell us. I mean, I'm not going to carry on adding your words to my question.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Ireland is an interesting place. It's obviously relatively small in terms of population, but it's a bridge economy. Like there are some others, like Singapore perhaps has similarities in Asia Pac, but it's different here. Ireland's a member of the European Union, one of the biggest markets in the world and a very committed member of that. Ireland's the youngest population in Europe, significantly the youngest, very high portions of education and a lot of strong cultural links with the United States. So very much a bridge between Europe and the United States historically. So there's a lot of, it's a good and easy place to do business. And it's a strategy that's been worked on by successive administrations here in Ireland to be an easy place to do business and an attractive place to locate and headquarter your European base. And that's a couple of decades old. So some of the biggest names in the tech industry particularly, but also the pharma and med tech industry have located their European HQs in Ireland. And as you mentioned, different cities around the country, pharmaceuticals and med tech is very clustered around the south. Medical device manufacturing in the west, and a lot of the bigger new tech industries more in Dublin, but actually Apple, for example, have a big presence in the south in Cork, so quite dispersed. So that that's how the economy works, and with not just the tech industry but also the pharma industry, there's been quite a significant amount of growth from foreign direct investment through this year. In fact, you'll have seen an article not too long ago in the Wall Street Journal, citing that Ireland, in fact, was one of the few Western economies that actually grew last year. Ironically, even though the local economy suffered like everybody else, with lockdowns and the consumer-based economy, but the growth in both pharma and medtech and technology, as you've seen from recent quarterly announcements, has created quite a growth level here. That's driven the economy in Ireland a lot.
I mean, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I was going to address how that specifically translates into the data center business. As you said, is quite active. Dublin is one of perhaps the biggest data center footprint of any metro in Europe. Ironically, even though Frankfurt, London, Amsterdam, and Paris are huge, the so-called flap. The difference in Ireland probably is there's a lot of hyperscale cloud service provider businesses who actually build their own capacity a lot more than they would do in other locations. They've a lot of cloud service providers, the big guys, they launched their cloud services business, when you think about it, 10 years or so ago, and they did that out of Dublin. Probably Dublin and Amsterdam was how they launched into Europe, after the United States. So, they had a lot of competence to build their own capacity. So that's probably 70% of the market in Dublin, and that's probably the core driver. It's interesting how it's evolving over the years. The next tier down, SaaS providers particularly, they're creating a lot of the growth as well. And now more and more, Asian companies, from China, but not just China, are entering Europe and creating some of the scale that the US tech companies did, for the last 10 years. So capacity is huge and only expanding. In fact, COVID probably drove growth and accelerated it probably more than it would have done if this had never happened. So yeah, it's quite dynamic here at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I find Ireland quite fascinating because I've been following that specific markets quite